out this last weekend before the international break that we're coming out of, and it was the first time that they were out of the relegation zone. But for Highlanders, well, they have been in the matrix and not really far off from there, because they are not safe. In fact, the teams from Highlanders coming down to Kwekwe, who are anchoring at the bottom of the log standings, all these teams are not safe. So it makes an interesting reading for this game. Highlanders taking on Dynamos. So that's what we're talking about on the show today. But I'm not alone in studio. I've got the couch squad. Veronica Gwaze is here. David Sengu is here. It's really interesting, the times that we are in, the title running, relegation as well. All things, football are really interesting at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's quite exciting to have such a season whereby you are at the edge of your seats right up to the last day, because you know that any team that's going to drop points from now onwards, they are deep in the relegation. Any team that's going to pick the points from down there, they are out of relegation. And looking up the log standings, if Scotland are going to falter on any of these remaining games, it means something changes there at the top. If Simba are going to pick points, then things change as well. So I just think that this is quite an exciting season whereby you want to attend, you want to watch these games up until the last day.
Actually, I wanted to sit on the edge of my seat for the whole show today, just to show how exciting the times we are in. I know, David, this is what we're going to be talking about, but again, another interesting factor. Look, we're coming out of a disastrous World Cup qualifying campaign under one Michael Nees, and there's been a lot of talk with regards to Michael Nees and his performance with the Warriors. So I've been trying to write a story. Hopefully I'm going to finish it, and because a lot of people have been focusing on the Warriors and what they did, but I decided to take a different dimension, and I was asking a question: if Michael Nees was coaching Germany, because he's from Germany, if he was coaching Germany, will he still be in the job today?
Oh, I think, look at our campaign. Yes, we had 3 different coaches. And Michael Nees, I think, is the one who had more games than his predecessors. So if he was coaching Germany, he could have been sacked.
I met a very interesting fact. Since 1926, Germany only fired one coach, Hans Flick. His results were not as bad as Michael Nees, but because Germans are a proud football people.
Yeah.
And I thought if Michael Nees is one of those who are proud, he would have packed his bag. But he's happy going to fill his parking slot at Zifa, wherever they are based now, and collect his paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah, of course I would, because angari pabasa, but basa rake harina kunyazofamba zvakanaka, because angati kana uri pabasa, remember, especially the border, it's not about your paymasters only. Yeah, because remember, we have got 16 to 17 million people that you'll be representing. Either Chirori, an expatriate, you also be part of us, because we'll be talking about you. So let's go right there. That's our starting point as we take a look at the trending stories in Zimbabwe football. The Warriors ended their World Cup campaign without a win, as they managed 5 draws and 5 losses in 10 games. They played in Group C. The campaign saw 3 coaches taking charge, with over 35 players receiving call-ups, but only 5 goals were scored, shipping in 12 in the process. The Warriors last won a competitive match back in October 2024, when they won back-to-back encounters against a lowly Namibia in what is Michael Nees' only wins as the Warriors head coach. The last time Nees was asked about his record, the national team coach had this to say:
I don't understand this negativism. It's highest time we all, and I include you, the media, to apply some sense of realism where we come from, where the potential of Zimbabwe is, and pull together in one direction towards a positive AFCON. That scapegoat ritual and bad-mouthing of individuals and looking, it's not a country which won 3 times the AFCON or which qualified 1 or 2 times for the World Cup. We have talent, we are good, but only if we stick together.
We discussed this before, but it still stands so true. You know, what you were saying, he was pulling us towards the AFCON direction. Do you want to go to AFCON with him in charge?
I think honestly at this stage, in as much as I wanted really to give him a benefit of doubt throughout the campaign, but I think the AFCON is such a big deal. This is the only thing that is giving us hope right now. And I would want to see someone more competitive than him taking the team to AFCON. Because look, when you hire a coach, whether at club level or it's national team level, you need to set objectives. You need to set targets. And so far, he told us that he was never given any of those. Already, that's a red flag for me. That's a big question mark for me. How do you give someone a job, a coaching job, not just a job, a coaching job, and you don't give them objectives, you don't give them targets? Yes, he qualified for the AFCON, but look, this campaign, he was the 3rd coach in that campaign. Obviously, he inherited a project that was already started by the other coaches. So obviously, we cannot give 100% credit to him. And worse, this is not the first time that Zimbabwe is qualified for the AFCON. So he shouldn't take that much credit because this is not the first time that we have qualified for the AFCON. But my biggest question mark is on him getting the job and never being given objectives, never being given targets. So what were we hoping that he was going to give us? What did we expect from him when you never gave anyone a target?
Talk to us. What do you think? Vero has posed the question there. Talk to us all over social media at ZTN Prime. Just hashtag the couch. What do you think? A coach who was never given targets. Remember, he was employed by the Normalization Committee, fronted by Lincoln Mutasa. And then when Magwizi & Company took over, they continued with him. But what targets did they give him? Let's move on to our next story. Maningi Youth Soccer Academy has been formally dismissed from the Zimbabwe Women's Premier Soccer League after member clubs unanimously rejected their request to rejoin the competition. Maningi had earlier withdrawn from the league, citing a lack of financial capacity, alleged bullying and abuse from bigger clubs, belittlement from the Zimbabwe Football Association, and mismanagement of CAF and FIFA grants. After securing sponsorship from Walter Magaya, the club applied for readmission, and the Zimbabwe Women's Premier Soccer League Executive Board took the matter to Congress, which is made up of member clubs, since Maningi violated Section 16 and 69 of the league constitution, which governs withdrawals from the clubs. Of the 15 members, 11 clubs managed to meet and formed a quorum, which unanimously voted against the move. They raised concerns over insufficient budgets to cover the outstanding fixtures, unresolved issues on the serious allegations of abuse and belittlement, amongst others. Maningi were 15 points from 20 matches and missed the final 4 rounds of the season while their case was under review. Wow. When we talked about this issue earlier, we said there were probably deeper underlying issues with regards to this. But here, the clubs are saying, look, this is our unanimous decision. Maningi should go. Do you agree?
To me, I think zvese zvataurwa mutsamba yakanyorwa iyo ichinyorerwa Maningi. I think these are the things that we need to look into. Kuti, where are we going with our women's football? You know, and by the time we formed this Premier Soccer League, Yevakadze, I think it was a very good idea. Yes, having women playing football. But then we also need to look at side refinance. Do these clubs meet my requirements in terms of traveling? Because remember, there's a lot of traveling. In the Premier League, there are teams from Tare, there are teams from conduit ndeye kuguruve, you know, there are teams from Shavani, Gweru, Blawayo. So tukuti isusu muri travel the whole country, and these are the consequences. Howard, if you withdraw because of such, I think board had known ingrini kuti vangabva vati, I know, let's listen to what Maningi is saying. But when the season started, I think these are the things that they set and say, okay, to everyone who has joined the league, have capacity to fulfill all the games, to fulfill all the obligations, and to be a Premier League team. And my team says accepted, could yes, tinokwanisa, so tukuti susu league nepa yashika, then the next thing is Maku withdraw because of financial Nigerian obligations. Maku withdraw because Murkutu, you are being bullied by the bigger teams. How are you being bullied by the bigger teams? Because when you travel and play a match, and it means you agreed to my rules and regulations as a Premier Soccer League. Your women. So for me, pandakatanga kunzwa nyaya yacho yeManingi, there is time that I said, okay, fine, I might support them, especially when it comes to the finance and all. But then later on you realize kuti avasiri vega. There was Mpopoma also, which is Mposa from Blawayo, they had a similar Ningiriniavo, but they didn't withdraw from the league, but they just put up Nyadzavo. I know Isuzu, we are having also a situation in terms of finance and all, but look at what Premier Soccer League Yevakazi, we have to sit down season yapera. Do we really need one Premier Soccer League Yevakazi, or we have to go for Northern and Southern, so that Tinofamba and it was Ofamba by the end of the season? I feel women's football inofana kungene 2 divisions, then by end of season, then you come up with maybe 4 teams dinozo compete for the championship. Yeguti league yedinozo no represent wakupi ku Champions League Yevakazi.
Vera, I know you're keeping a closer eye on this Maningi situation, but there are certain things that I also want to raise as you try and answer the question. Recently, we had Shesham writing to the Eastern region that they are withdrawing to the Central region, that they are withdrawing from the league because of a litany of allegations they raised. Right, just like what Maningi did. Obviously, Maningi then talked about financial, hardships and all that. But Shesham also did the same thing, right? Because of what was going on. If you go to the Southern region, in Division 1 as well, there's been a case that has been going on again, with teams taking each other to disciplinary hearings and all that. We go back again to the Northern region. Last season, there were a lot of issues between Scotland and Moors, a lot of allegations that were raised. Is there a problem in our football that people are not really addressing?
Yeah, when I come back to the issue of women football, I think for so many years, our women football, our elite league, has been running without a constitution. So it was really difficult, especially in the past, for them to maybe confront some of these issues for a league that runs without a constitution. But since the coming in of the Teresa Maguraushe-led executive, they then came up with a constitution. So I think that this constitution still has a lot of loopholes that still need to be looked into, because this is just the beginning. I think this is probably the first or maybe the 1.5 seasons that they've been using that constitution. So clearly the constitution was adopted partially, and some of the issues or some of the clauses that were supposed to be addressed or supposed to be re-looked into were never re-looked into. Because ordinarily, according to the constitution, it says when a club wants to pull out of the league, they give 6 months notice, which Maningi never did.
Okay.
And giving the 6 months notice, it gives time for the league to then sit down and deliberate on the issue, which the league never did as well. So when we look at both sides, Maningi and the league itself, they both somehow did not adhere to what the constitution says. So now it becomes difficult for them to want to come back into line when in the first place they broke the lines.
Okay.
But then the issue of Maningi also, I think the bigger issue is actually on the other allegations that they raised apart from the financial issues. Because when we look at this issue of bullying and stuff, there was never a formal complaint that was filed on these allegations.
By the league.
By Maningi.
By Maningi to the league.
To the league, yes. So now, for the league, I think they felt that their image was somehow dented by these allegations, yet they never received a formal complaint. So now, even if they come back to say, we have secured funds for us to complete the season, what about the other issues that they raised? And even if you look at the issues, especially the part of bullying, Maningi was actually involved in issues with 2 different clubs about player movements. Maningi, financially, they are not okay. So some of these players, they just play for the sake of passion, but there are no benefits to say maybe salaries or bonuses. So some of these clubs are lured, especially to the uniformed forces, for promises of employment.
Oh, the players.
Yes. Players, yeah. So they had 2 players. The other player went to Chapungu. The other player went to Platinum Holdings. Platinum Royals, sorry. So the one who went to Platinum Royals, it was an issue of school fees. Mwana aida kwenda kuchikoro. And Platinum has that facility kumbopa scholarships kuma players avo. That was the deal. So now Maningi comes and says, we need the development fee. And then both clubs say, women football, akuna mari. So let's create a win-win situation. We can help you with my kids' equipment so that we meet halfway. So equipment, maybe I feel that maybe they could have taken the deal if they did not want to use the equipment, and then recover a bit of some funds. But they could not agree, they could not meet halfway. Maningi wanted specifically Mari. And these guys were going, there is no budget for women football. Atusku and Mari, so we cannot afford to give you hard cash. We can give you equipment, Nema kids, then you see what you can do to recover the funds. So the fact that this happened to 2 different clubs, for me, says something about the executive Maningi remaining rigid in a situation yavarikuziva kuti apana.
Yeah, but you should understand, they wanted money.
So where does the money come from?
I'm looking at this situation, and I understand the bullying part, because I read about, player transfers, contracts and all that. Under FIFA, the online system and all that, the player movement and all that, all these things are laid out clearly. So these teams that wanted players from Maningi, where were they getting the equipment they wanted to give Maningi? Because when you look at Maningi, are they struggling for equipment? No, they are not. But why do you go and dangle something else? Saying, okay, this is the situation. Let's work on a payment plan. We'll give you $50 today, $50 next week. I think it's something understandable.
Yeah, maybe
they need to go back to club licensing award.
Yes.
And because if you look at this kind of situations, women's football, the go for men's football, is those. That's why you find good academies are crying foul, and clubs are just coming in and get the players, they pay nothing. And this is the same situation.
Isn't this bullying?
That's what I'm saying. Of course, vaka bully in terms of vari kungotorerwa ma players without getting anything, and also kadozotasa kuma players kwacho player inenge yautaura but imi mamuna chamakandipa in return, whether ndaenda kuchikoro kana ndasingaenda kuchikoro, but amuna chamakaita.
But you were developed.
Chamaka contribute.
They gave you the platform.
But ukazvitarisa kuti ndosaka ndikuti nini most players vanenge vakuti aiwa inini chindisiya ndite sei ndiende because iko zvinezvi I'm struggling for Maria transport iko zvinezvi maybe mubereki wangu ndiye ari kundipa mari dzetransport, but I'm getting nothing in return. And sometimes it's about the players and their management. Kuti vari kuti isusu, alright, imimi muratite sei. And one tasamono kuti inini as a player ndanti yakutiseni sama finances amai vangu. Imimi, are you going to give back? And kuna mai vangu something. If I am to stay here, what is the benefit? And because remember pane vangu vanondesa kunana USA for my scholarships. Ko vasiri kuenda. What's their benefit?
I think Maningi was actually supposed to approach the other clubs. Guys, let's approach the league so that we find ways to address this issue, because it's not only them varikutorerwa ma players. Recently correctional Queens lost a player to Chapungu. And that player anga promised kwa basa Chapungu, and correctional Queens felt to in as much as we developed this kid, Kushka now she's part of the Mighty Warrior. I think she's actually the youngest Mighty Warrior currently, but we cannot buy her from going to Chapungu. Isus kunuka hakuna mavacants right now. Let her go and get a job ku Chapungu.
To tell you what, guys, I think we'll talk to the producer. Then we dedicate a whole show to this issue, because I'm seeing a lot of pertinent issues that are happening in our women's football. That
not women's football.
Not only women's football,
yes.
that in our football. Because I remember what I also raised to you, those issues that are... So we just need maybe the producer to come up with a show where we'll extensively discuss these issues.
Even the issue yema finances, why were these guys dangling equipment instead of cash? Look, guys, let's look at the broader picture. These are uniformed forces. Why is it that we no longer have uniformed forces in the men's elite league?
They were relegated.
Why? They continued.
You can't have the best players. Uniformed
forces.
We will discuss these issues and many others that are affecting our football. You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime. Today we are focusing on the game between Highlanders and Dynamos. It's on Sunday, one of the biggest games that we've got here in Zimbabwe, and also the game between Scotland and Moors. Remember their rivalry back from Division 1. Now Scotland are on top of the log, and Moors are third on the log standing. So that's championship fight right there. So these games are on this weekend. So that's what we are looking ahead to. Stay with us right here on The Couch.
Harare. Tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play. The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika, like where you're sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo afro chakuti ndo music manje yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutauri muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime. Talk to us. We're all over social media. Look for it, ZTN Prime. And then hashtag your comment with The Couch. And let's discuss this. We are focusing on the game between Highlanders and Dynamos. It's on Sunday as we are going to the end of the 2025 Kasolaga Premier Soccer League season. We're also looking at the championship fight and there's a championship match between Scotland and Moors. Scotland on top of the log standings and Moors on position number 3. So it's really going to be a big fight there between these two sides. The game is on Saturday at Rufaro Stadium. In studio, I've got the Couch squad, Veronica Gwaze and David Sengu, as we go through this. And let's run through the movers and shakers from the last time we had Premiership football before the international break. Dynamos moved to occupy the last spot for survival following their 1-1 draw against Ngezi Platinum Stars. Scotland are enjoying their stay at the summit as Simba Bora dropped points at a crucial time following a 1-0 loss to Caps United, as well as a 0-0 draw away to Triangle at Gibo. This game was played a couple of days ago. The grass is no longer green for Greenfield, while Yada need a miracle to turn things around. And it seems as if there is a separation of boys and men as the Lithium boys, Bigita Minerals, occupy the last relegation slot. David, I'm going to come to you. So this is what we've got, the power rankings. Scotland on 59. Simba Bora on 56 and Moors on 55. Ngezi on 51. But I'm thinking the fight for the championship might be on those top 3 teams. And you go down to mid-table, where Caps United, for me, I think they were the biggest winners. This the last time we had Premiership football. I think they did themselves a world of favour, beating Simba Bora. Triangle as well, staying in there. Dynamos as well, coming off the relegation mud for the first time after they got there. I think, was it week 6 when they got there? When you look at these teams, who really took you, who really made you say, okay, when I look at this team, I think they are the biggest movers?
Yeah, of course, it's Caps United. Because if you look at where they were when they first Simba Bora, I think they were almost on 32 points, which was maybe, if we look at it now, they look like they're in the relegation zone, especially in terms of position, but not in terms of points. So that 1-0 win for them, I think they moved, to position number 10. And I think they were the only winners that very weekend. Maybe, they were the second winners, them and Greenfield. Because Greenfield also won that game and they moved to 31 points, but they remained in relegation zone. But still, it has to be Caps United. They did themselves a favor of pushing Dynamos, to remain where they are, because Maningi Diamonds also drew. So there was, a little bit of movement in there. But as for Caps United, that was a big move in terms of my points from 32 points to 35 points. But I still feel they've got, something to play for. Remember, there's only 4 games left and there's 12 points to play for. So whoever is, in the relegation zone from Highlanders going down, they will be facing each other in the relegation matrix there. Until the last day, all those teams are going to be facing each other.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Vero, let's talk about Simba Bora. They were leading the log standings. Then they were involved in the CAF Champions League preliminary round, and they lost. But when you look at their past 4 games, they failed to score. And they were dislodged by Scotland. Do you think they still have a shout? The 12 points that David is talking about that are left to play, will they get 12 out of 12? And possibly, if their gods of football work for them, they will be able to, leapfrog Scotland. Scotland might be stopped by Moors somehow.
I think for me, Simba Bora, the biggest letdown was actually probably the employer. Their problems at this stage, I believe, are scientific. what would you expect for a team that travelled for their Champions League games by bus? Zimbabwe to Botswana by bus, Botswana to Swaziland by bus. Obviously, fatigue was going to creep in because look how many games have they played in the PSL, and then the Champions League games, and then the Chibuku games. Obviously, I think at this stage he was supposed to protect his players, maybe try to arrange logistics that were not going to disturb their
campaign, both
yes.
locally and the Champions League.
Yes. And now it leaves us questioning if the funds that we were being told about being sponsored to them towards their Champions League campaign ever reached them. Or maybe the funds got there, but he decided to prioritize other issues other than protecting his players. So I believe that for me, their problems are actually scientific. And I'm just hoping that after their triangle game, maybe, hopefully, Joe Lupahla came up with possible ways to ensure that his boys recover before the weekend games. And if they continue to draw points, unfortunately, they're going to fall out of the race. Because at this stage, looking at Scotland, they have been a bit of consistent, and looking at their fixtures, they have got a bit of easier fixtures compared to the other teams. So if Simba Bora don't do enough to bring themselves back to the race again, I'm afraid that Scotland is going to take it.
David, we spoke about the teams that are going to go down. I remember when the league started, we spoke extensively about the teams that were going to go down. Are we now seeing maybe the end of the journey in the Premier League for Yada, Greenfield, maybe Bikita?
Yeah, if you look at the weekend fixtures out, Greenfield might have a slight chance of surviving. If they can beat Kwekwe United this coming weekend, yeah, they might have a say of relief. Because they will be on 34 points. And it Wombo Budapai, relegation. Looking at the Dynamos fixture, looking at the Bekita Minerals fixture, because Bekita are playing Herentals on Monday. So there's going to be a lot of pressure for Bekita if Greenfield win. If Yada wins, Bekita are going to be another pressure again. Although Yada will remain second bottom, even if they win. And as long as Greenfield wins, Yada will remain second bottom. But it's getting interesting, Howard, more than the championship up there. But in relegation mix, it's becoming interesting now. Because all these teams, like I said, they're going to be meeting each other. They're going to be cancelling each other.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot, I think maybe for the last time, before the end of the season. The 4 teams, well, one is already confirmed. Kwekwe are gone.
Yeah.
The other 3 teams who are joining Kwekwe?
I feel Greenfield will be one of them.
Give us the log again. Just give us the log.
Greenfield will be one of them. Yada
so that
well.
we understand what these guys are saying.
Yada as well. Yeah, they will try to push a big miracle.
So Greenfield or Yada, who is the 4th team?
Yeah, I'm worried about chickening. So I'll put chickening and Bikita. Ipapo, one of those two will cancel each other out. Why, Howard? Because if you look at my fixtures, the chickening and the Gugunya Pera, they are way trickier than Anna Magemana and Greenfield. Because what is a chickening? They're facing Triangle this weekend at Gibo. After Chibuku, they're facing Cape United. Depends how Cape United fare against Maningi Dynamos this week. So obviously, chickening in the next 2 fixtures, they have to collect. Yes, they have to collect at least 4 points.
Give me the other 3 teams that are joining Kwekwe there.
I think Yada, Greenfield, and then I would put Bikita there.
Okay.
Because Bikita, if you look at their record, either home or away, they haven't really been doing that good. They are not a team you can say because this weekend they are home, we know they are going to grind a point. There's no difference between being
they are not consistent.
They are different with Chicken Inn now. When you look at Chicken Inn when they play at Luveve, they are not a pushover. They can grind a point at Luveve. which is different now with Bikita.
So you think it's well set the way it is? Talk to us. Who do you think is going to go down to join Kwekwe as one of the relegated teams? Do you agree with the David and Veronica? Well, David putting in Chicken in as well, together with Bikita there. But do you think those bottom four are well set to go down like that? Talk to us. We're all over social media at ZTN Prime. Let's get into the crux of the matter on what we are discussing today. Barbourfield Stadium opens its doors for another epic encounter between Highlanders and Dynamos this Sunday, and the upcoming fixture carries a lot of weight as it presents both sides with an opportunity to increase their survival chances. Remember, both of them, they are still not safe from relegation. Highlanders currently sitting 9th, 2 points ahead of Dynamos, who are 5 places below on 14th. So, yeah, who is coming in stronger here as we get into this encounter, David? Mentally, who is the stronger?
Obvious, Kelvin Kayendo is the strongest. Ukatarisa in the last 5 games, it's Dynamos with 3 wins and 2 draws. Then you look at Peter de Jong, 3 draws, 1 win, 1 lost. And the last time that he was at home, I think he did well in the Chibuku Super Cup, where he managed to beat Scotland. I think in Chibuku Super Cup he has done well, also the same way that Kayendo has done. But in the league, that's where now the problem is, because ukatarisa Howard madraw acho ayo and ndiwo magame ekupedzisira avakapedzisira kuita sei avakapedzisira kutamba on. When they played against the Rentals, I wasn't even convinced Howard kuti what if Highlanders were in the drop zone in terms of position, were they going to push themselves up, or it has to be the fans kubaba fields kuti vanoita sei vanosimuka. And it's the first time that Kayendo is going back to Barbourfields to face his former paymasters, and ukataza Kayendo, there's a lot of positivity and in his team, and maybe a disappointing draw against Ngezi Platinum Stars, but he really wanted a win so that he goes to Bulawayo to face Highlanders and with a lot of confidence. But now, because he drew against Ngezi, and now he's facing another Highlanders team that also drew, a team that hasn't won in the last 4 games in the league. And so, for me, Dynamos plays better to Barbourfields. They've got a very good record to Barbourfields. But facing a Highlanders team now, you have relegation. Now that is going to be a big battle. Who is who to Barbourfields? But I know Highlanders, with their fans behind them, they did well against Scotland. They came from behind and managed to win a penalty shootout. Dynamos did the same against Scotland, coming from behind and also win that game. So in terms of fan base behind their teams, I think Highlanders might have an edge, but Kayendo knows all about Highlanders inside out at the moment. He knows each and every player. And I know Kayendo when he plays such games. Angachi is here every detailed about player. He knows where Highlanders' weakness lies. So it's up to Dynamos now to go and try to push Highlanders deep into the relegation zone.
Can Dynamos get 3 points off Highlanders at Barbourfields at this present moment?
I believe they can. Because look, when Dynamos just got into resurgence, this is the start of the second half of the season, we have seen a different Dynamos, a confident Dynamos, a Dynamos that is always found trying to create goals in any match. But on the other hand, look at Highlanders. I see a team that not only was it assembled by Kayendo, and he understands every detail about that team, but I've also seen a team that somehow lacks confidence in most cases. The youngsters have that weakness of maybe if they try twice or they try thrice or maybe they go down, they have that issue of creeping back into their shells. And it only takes their supporters to then cheer them on to keep them going. That's how we have seen Highlanders faring at Barbourfields. And I think that probably explains why most of their 3 points are coming from Barbourfields, because it is actually all about their fans. But also look at Dynamos on the other end. They have got a strong fan base in Bulawayo. So it's actually going to be, I think Barberfield is going to be pegged this time around, because Dynamos has been doing good and their fans have found motivation to want to follow them, to go and cheer them on any match day. So I think this one is going to be for Kaindu to take compared to Dijon.
There has been a lot of comparison that has been flying around. So remember the games that are on this coming weekend. Scotland Moors, Highlanders Dynamos. And people have been asking, which one can we say is the game of the weekend?
For me, I will go into the relegation battle, Howard, between Dynamos and Highlanders. It has always been the biggest game in the land. And Ukato Tarisa, there is so much vibe into that game. Remember, we're talking about Scotland and Moors. These are two smaller teams that have just come into our league. And these are the two biggest clubs in the land. So whatever people are trying to bring in out and say there's going to be the biggest game in Harare on Saturday and then another big game, it's about Scotland and the players that they have. And it's not about the fan base. Because if it's about the fan base, Game Blawa is the biggest game in Zimbabwe. Scotland in the Moors, I think it started from last year in the second round. Kutivan Vangavachita, a lot of interest between those two teams. And because of the race, Yavangavana Northern Region Division 1. But no matter whatever people might say, Dynamos, Highlanders, Dynamos, that's the biggest match in the land.
Undisputed.
It's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, on Saturday, Scotland taking on Moors is going to be live right here on ZTN Prime. So make sure you make a date with us. Then Sunday, it's Caps United and Maningi Diamonds. I think another important game because you can't really talk about Dynamos and Highlanders and then divorce Caps from there. Those are the three longest saving members of the Premier Soccer League. So these are the games that are there on your screen right now. Yada, ZPC Kariba, FC Platinum Tel1, a potentially good game there, Midlands Derby. Ngezi taking on Simbabora, another exciting encounter. Scotland Moors is going to be live right here on ZTN Prime. Green Fuel taking on Kwekwe. Then on Sunday, 3 games. Highlanders play Dynamos, Caps, Maningi Diamonds. It's going to be live on ZTN Prime. Triangle taking on Chicken Inn. Then on Monday, 1 game, Bikita taking on Rentals College. Stay with us right here on ZTN Prime. When we come back, we talk about the championship match, Scotland taking on Moors.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
It is the couch right here on ZTN Prime, and today we are discussing who rules, who falls. We're looking at the championship title. We're looking at a relegation matrix at the other end of the table, where Dynamos will be travelling to Barberfields to play Highlanders. Both teams not safe from relegation, but it's the battle at the top. Scotland taking on Moors. They've got a different kind of rivalry that started in Division 1 last season. They're both newbies in the Premier League, but hey, they've taken the league by a storm, and all eyes will be on these two on Saturday. If Moors win, they cut the gap between them and Scotland to just 1 point. Right, so Moors really need to get 3 points there. In the first leg encounter, Moors won that game at Ngoni Stadium, but this time stakes have changed. Scotland are on top. They don't want to give it away, and the game is going to be played at Rufaro Stadium. Get in touch with us, be part of the conversation. We are at ZTN Prime on all our social media platforms, so look for at ZTN Prime and let's discuss this. So yeah, Scotland welcome Moors at their most important match of the campaign, but it is but is not downplaying the encounter.
Not really. I think every game that we have played as an institution, we employed to do well at every given game. So every game that we play for the badge. Yeah. I think as an institution, we've always said let's try as much as we can to win all the matches that we play, and see at the end of the day where those matches will take us to.
Yeah, so that's Lloyd Samaitam Tasa, Moors coach. So going into this encounter, Scotland had mixed fortunes in the recent encounters as they collected 10 of 15 in their last 5 games after recording 3 wins, a draw as well as a loss, whilst Moors are unbeaten in their last 5, 4 wins and a draw, amounting to 13 points of 15. So we were talking. We asked the coach there from Moors if this was a potential title decider. You guys, do you agree, or he's just playing everything?
I think Samaita has always been like that, Howard, ever since they reached the 40-point mark, and we just said we wanted to survive relegation. And I met one of their executive members also, and he said, "I know our objective was to survive relegation. Then we start from there. But Howard, with the position that they are in at the moment, I've always said it. Could Pavakashika up a 40-point mark, they should have declared. Could we now going for the championship? Howard, Kubora, if you want to win the league,
you need to declare.
You also need to declare and put pressure. And when my coaches good, okay, sa coaches are to Javari Pamsoro. So that my games are negative, you also put your players, under a bit of pressure. Good guys, we need to perform at the highest level. And the players responded in the last 5 games for Moors. And it has happened, good Moors, now we are picking at the right time. Our last 4 games, they have to win all their games if they are to mount a serious title challenge. If they can beat Scotland on Saturday, sure. They are in the race.
Can Moors beat Scotland on Saturday?
They have the capacity to. In as much as they don't really have big names on their squad, but I think the fact that they won the first leg, they are going to come with the belief that they can still do it. But what's a bit worrisome is that Moors don't really have a good record in Harare. So I'm just hoping that this week when they come for Scotland, they are going to come with a different mentality. They are going to come with self-belief, and their fans are also going to come in numbers. And looking on the other side, Scotland, they do have the big names. They do have a chunk of players who have been who play on the national team. But when you look at their performance, it hasn't really matched the names that they have on their team. Especially the last time that they played against Maningi Diamonds, a 1-0 win.
Yeah, they leapt to that 1-0 win.
Yes. For me, that was not a scoreline that I expected, especially the fact that they deployed the 5 players that play on the national team on that particular day. But look at how much they labored against Maningi Diamonds. So I think this weekend, if Moors are going to win it, it's going to be mentally. They need to come with the self-belief.
So let's suppose Moors win. Do you see the championship title fight going right down to the wire?
Yes.
Most likely.
Yes.
With all 3 teams involved?
But I still feel, Howard, Kuti, these 2 teams, they will come with a tactical approach to this game so that no one loses this game. Remember the first time that these 2 teams met, Scotland were tactically defensive and Moors dominated in terms of, ball possession. But then at the end, it was just that lapse of concentration. That's how Moors managed to score. A quick corner kick and they score. But in terms of tactical discipline, Team Yaton, they can defend with their lives. They can defend. And Samaita now, in terms of ball possession,
with the same measure in terms of tactical discipline, speak with the same measure for Moors. What can they do?
Moors, like what Vero just said about poor travelers, especially when they come to Harare. Ukatarisa, the game that they lost against Yada, tactically, vakajiwa, because they were all over. They were losing possession. My areas were serious. They got punished most of the times. Now with Kamabiliat knowledge, time on Machope, always playing very three up front. There's no room for those errors now for Moors. They really need to be tactically disciplined, especially, of course, yes, they are ball possession based team, but if they lose possession, my areas are dangerous. They'll get punished.
And even if you look at in the first leg, look at how many chances Scotland created, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
And they fluffed the chances. So I think this time around, Ndiraya is going to bring his A team when it comes to attacking. The guys that he knows good, when we create chances, they are going to make these chances count.
So as we close, Highlanders Dynamos?
I'm going for a draw.
Goalless draw?
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw?
Yeah.
Highlanders Dynamos?
I would give it 2-1 to Dynamos.
2-1 to Dynamos. Scotland Moors?
I think a draw. A goalless draw.
Goalless draw. Scotland Moors?
1-1 draw.
Okay, talk to us. What do you think is going to happen? It's a big weekend in the Castlelaga Premier Soccer League. So many matches, so many defining matches. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? Talk to us. We're all over social media at ZTN Prime and hashtag The Couch. And let's continue this discussion. Thanks a lot to the Couch Squad, Veronica Gwaze and David Sengu. My name is Alvin Msonza. Enjoy the rest of your viewing right here on ZTN Prime.